Every morning at the crack of dawn in the basement of this tiny home,
You're only limited by imagination.
you'll find Rich Kukta hard at work.
If I told you how I did the eyes, you're going to think I'm certifiable. Now, I've never done drugs.
Call him the Picasso of mini military war scenes.
There's things I do with insect pins, doing the eye technique.
He starts with a plastic kit model of a tank and then brings it to life.
All the eyes actually have the color of the eye.
He says he picked up the hobby from his father, a World War II veteran who built model airplanes.
As a 3-4-year-old kid, I sat there and I watched him and I watched him and I watched him.
Now the art world is watching the 63-year-old. Among the $150,000 nautical paintings at Russell Janician's Fairfield Gallery, Kukta's compact dioramas.
It's detailing right down to the smallest expression, the pupils in the eye, the sneer of a soldier's lip is fabulous.
What really caught our attention were these military dioramas of the Third Reich, guns, swastikas, and all.
Anything Nazi has an evil connotation to it. Why build Nazi tanks?
I despise the Nazis, but there's something about German armor that's fascinating, and I've talked to a lot of people who went against that German armor. By showing the power and might of the other side, it gives credence to the bravery of our own people.
But it's not just his German pieces that are misunderstood. Richard Kukta says his artwork is viewed as pro-war, which has never been his goal.
He got raked by machine gun fire. It shredded his left arm, but he survived. I try to show the power of it. I try to show the futility of it.
Kukta never fought on the battlefields like the ones he so meticulously builds. He tried to follow in his father's footsteps, but says he flunked the Army physical because of a sports injury. His way of contributing has been to highlight the horrors of war through art.
I hope someday an artist will come forward and people will gaze upon this artist's work, and the work is so powerful that people will be so moved that they will lay down their arms and there will be no more wars forever.
In Fairfield, Matt Kozar, News 12, Connecticut.
Name's Ed LaPut. I'm 68 years old. I've been retired now for about 15 years.
Most people spend their retirement on the golf course or at the beach, but Ed LaPut is not most people.
By the time I get home, I'm exhausted some nights.
Beneath the stone-cold gaze of angels frozen in time, LaPut has spent the last 6 years documenting Connecticut cemeteries by taking pictures of tombstones.
The reason that I got involved in what I am now is because of this young lady over here.
The young lady is his grandmother, and after researching her family history, he found a cousin he never knew he had. That discovery inspired him to help others map out their family trees.
I want to pay back that opportunity to somebody.
His goal? Canvass every cemetery in the state. So far, he's visited 450. LaPut uploads the photographs into his home computer.
At this point here, I know that I'm approaching $250,000.
All that information is being stored at the Godfrey Memorial Library in Middletown, which houses a Depression-era project documenting state cemeteries. That's what Ed LaPut is updating, with a tool they didn't have back in the 30s.
And they're all hyperlinked, so if there's an underline, you click on it. And there's Donald Arnold.
Sharon Dahlmeyer Giovanetti shows us how, for a $45 fee, LaPut's project is accessible through the library's website. The money goes back to the library, which is in need of the funds. She says people are signing up.
They said, we heard about this project, and we would like to see what he's done.
As for Ed LaPut, he doesn't take a single penny from it. He says his goal is to preserve history by photographing tombstones that are deteriorating.
To be able to see the pictures of what stone is still left is probably even more important as time moves on.
With older stones whose words are fading, LaPut says he can only photograph them in the afternoon when the sunlight dances off the rock.
Some people look at me and they say that I'm kind of crazy, you know. I look at it that it's history.
History for a 68-year-old who has no plans of slowing down. In Bridgeport, Matt Kozar, News 12, Connecticut.
You can see it's just torn to pieces. When the building fell down, it just got torn apart. and twisted.
A piece of history tucked away in the garage of New Canaan's firehouse. But for firefighters Mike Sosai
Major Port of Fire Dispatcher.
and John Raitt, it's much more than that.
This is a piece of that day for us. This happened that day that we were there. It was a part of what we were walking on. It's a part of the people who died.
Now, nobody likes to see death. Nobody.
And you saw a lot of it.
You don't see a lot, but one person's enough. It really is.
Friends for more than 25 years, they say there was no question of whether they should go to Ground Zero on September 11th, 10 years ago,
So I was damn determined I was going to get down there.
as long as they did it together.
John and I, we stayed tight through the whole time. We back each other up 100%.
Their journey started when they hitched a helicopter ride to Lower Manhattan with a group of doctors from southwestern Connecticut. One of them snapped these pictures.
Black smoke, brown smoke pushing out, and you're looking and you're like, holy God, where are we going? What are we going to?
Are there still images of that day that haunt you?
Yeah. In a very real way, because I think that people can't understand airplane parts. Looking at wheels of airplanes, looking at seats from airplanes on the sidewalk, looking at burned bodies. They didn't get it.
Stay put, stay put.
They say they set up triage for survivors, but there weren't many.
Most of us realize that the chance of surviving after that it's hard.
It was one of the few times in my life that I can say this is a day you might die.
They survived that first day and would go back several times to help. But now they say it's emotionally difficult to visit Ground Zero, where a new Freedom Tower sprouts from what was once rubble, getting taller each day. So instead of going there to remember, New Canaan's firefighters have decided to bring a piece of the World Trade Center to their department.
It really shows what happened to those buildings that day.
This is one piece, one fraction of a fraction of what we saw that day we went in.
The firehouse is only its temporary home. They say this steel I-beam will be used as part of a New Canaan 9/11 memorial, a reminder to everyone of what happened that day.
The reason it's so rusty is because they had it in a warehouse. I mean, it happened 10 years ago.
Matt Kozar, News 12 Connecticut.